But one of the obstacles or the barriers to entry into, being an entrepreneur and having your own business is the willingness to do all those things when that are not glorious.
Yes.
Everybody always sees the end result, and they say, "Wow, that person."
The glamour, the romantic version of the entrepreneur, right?
But they don't see the hard work and the dirt and the losses and the stuff. And so too often people rely on, oh, I need a team, I need somebody to handle this, or I need somebody to handle that, and people disappoint in life. Over time you will find the right people and the right team, but if you're relying on other people to do things for you early on in your career or in your entrepreneurial journey, you're most likely going to be setting yourself up for failure. So you just have to really be prepared to do everything on your own. And I've just kind of developed that type of spirit almost to the point where now I have, so many resources and so many people in my team that support what I do and that love working for the brand or the company or the business that I'm operating. And I still find myself doing things on my own a lot when I have people there to do it.
Yeah.
But, when you have a vision or you want something done a certain way, sometimes you just got to take matters in your own hands.
Yeah, man, that's fantastic. All right. What's up, Bam. Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the N2N Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. N2N, and as my friends affectionately call me Ninja, you can call me Ninja too. This is the N2N Podcast, the alpha to the omega, the beginning to the end, talking about life, motivation, inspiration, entrepreneurship, and offering a little bit of morsels in this all-you-can-eat buffet called life. Excited to be back in the studio today, and we have a very special program for you with a very special guest. But before we get into that, I just want to thank everybody out there as we are launching and getting some momentum in this podcast. I want to express my gratitude for all of you all who have liked, commented, shared, followed on all social media platforms. And once again, if you found value in this podcast or any other podcast in the past, please do share it. That's how we grow our audience. Like, comment, follow, send it to your friends, your families, your coworkers, and certainly would appreciate that as we continually gain traction and get more and more followers. That's the only way we can grow this podcast and affect the lives of billions of people across this planet in a very positive way, and that's our goal. For those of you all who don't know me or just learning about this podcast, my name is N2N. Originally from Vietnam, but basically grew up. I'm an American, physician trained, lawyer, have a law firm in Houston, Texas, where we've helped thousands of clients already, but also involved in various business endeavors as an entrepreneur. But as I said, today we have a very special program with a very special guest. This gentleman I've known, for over 2 decades. We go way back. He's one of those guys that I would call a brother just from a different mother. Family is not built only on blood, but it's built on experiences and shared values. And I consider this guy a family member to me. Not only is he like a brother or a relative, but we're business partners too. So he and I have worked together in my law firm for over 2 decades and have been involved in other business opportunities as well. So none other, I want to welcome Nader Rabi to the podcast. And let me just say, you'll notice that we have some merchandise. He is the inventor, founder, and proprietor of Slapwoods. Nader Rabi, welcome to the program, man. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Good to have you, man.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Good, man. Good.
One thing you forgot to mention about yourself, an amazing father. So I always tell you that you're one of the best fathers. Dedication, time that you put into it, totally selfless when it comes to that, man. So
no, I appreciate that, man.
Give yourself credit.
Lots of love, dude. I appreciate that. We do these things for no other reason than to leave a legacy, and of course, we leave that through our children and our families. And but man, this isn't about me. This is about you today. I appreciate your time coming on board, talking about yourself. I want to share with the audience. You have this fantastic family story, fantastic life story that's only just begun and it's only going up. So, so let's start off, man. Talk about growing up in Houston, what it's been about, and where it's going.
Yeah. So, I was born and raised in Houston. My parents immigrated here from the Middle East, and I was probably about 4 or 5 the first time I traveled back there to kind of get an understanding of my culture and my roots, and definitely have a strong affinity to the origin and the roots of my background. But proud to be an American. Wouldn't want to live anywhere else. And Houston's been great. I mean, Houston's been a really great city. It's got endless opportunities, so from schools to business opportunities to the people, the multicultural, multi-ethnic backgrounds that you have here. I feel like Houston really helped shape me and mold me into the person that I am, and yourself as well. I mean, we are both hustlers. We chase down the next opportunity, and once we find something that we can make successful, we're already looking for the next opportunity after that too. And that's something that I feel like really resonates with Houstonians. We're the hustle city, clutch city.
I like that, man.
We got all these different nicknames.
H-Town is not just for Houston. It's hustle, man.
Yeah,
I like that.
But Houston is a city about getting up, getting off your ass and working and getting what you want out of this life. And Houston has been amazing and has provided all those opportunities for me and for yourself as well, and for my family. So I'm very proud to be from Houston, Texas.
Very cool, man. Very cool. I think we share a very, and I think that sets the foundation for our relationship over 20 plus years, is that your parents were first generation immigrants to America. My family, first generation immigrants to America. And while I wasn't born here, we came to America when I was a baby. So basically grew up as a Houstonian, so to speak, adopted Houstonian, Texan. And so one thing is that what I've found through my family's experiences, and I'm sure you can share through yours, is that Houston is a very forgiving city in a sense that it allows you to take those risks, to be a hustler, an entrepreneur. You pursue something that you're attracted to as an opportunity. And if it works out, you push it, keep going. And if it doesn't work out, Houston allows you to reset, recover, and come back out again with either something different or something novel. As long as you're bringing that value and showing that hustle, I think Houston rewards you. What would you say to that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the one thing about being an entrepreneur and fighting to be successful in life. And what people don't really understand is that, as an entrepreneur, as a boss, as, a hustler, whatever you want to call yourself, you better be prepared to take some losses.
Oh yeah.
Losses make bosses. That's what I say.
I like that. Okay, say that again one more time.
Losses make bosses.
I like that, man.
So
coming on a Slapwoods t-shirt next, man. Losses make bosses, right?
Losses make bosses. People are too afraid to take a loss or to admit that they took a loss. I mean, I'm staring right into the camera and I'll tell you, I've taken multiple losses. So, but that's what really separates the people that end up making it in life. Is not whether you don't take losses. I don't think that's realistic. I feel like everybody, no matter where you are in life or how high you get, has taken losses. And the higher you are actually in life, probably the more losses you've taken.
Yeah. Success is built on a mountain of failures, right?
Exactly. And it's always, about, how quickly you can get back up and, just brush off that loss and just keep moving on down the road, because you're going to take losses.
So that's,
you can't let it get to you.
That's a great point for our audience to understand, is that, if you're striving for greatness, if you want to go to the top, climb to the top of whatever profession or in your personal development, you're going to take those L's and build on that. Personally, how much of that do you think that mentality, that approach to life is a result of being an immigrant family versus in your family values and being instilled in that as a youth, or growing up in America and seeing that you can do that? Failures are opportunities to build on. Like, what is it, a combination, or sort of, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it is a combination of both. I grew up in a household where my father was also an entrepreneur. So I mean, I feel like it was every other 2 or 3 years, Pops was getting into another business or another venture or starting another company. And I saw a lot of them fail, and thankfully I saw more of them succeed. And so, I just saw how he adapted with that, and also being in a country where we are free to take risks, and there are support systems here, and people that recognize hard work and drive, and people want to help, and especially, again, going back to Houston and Texas, being in the South, I feel like that Southern hospitality thing is real.
Yeah.
And the city's been really, really welcoming to people who come in here that want to try to break ground, bring new ideas, bring new vibes, new businesses. So I would say it's definitely a combination of the two.
Very cool, man. And so, product of Houston, which high school?
Bel Air High School.
Yeah. Okay. So talk to me about that experience in high school. Immigrant family, dad's out hustling, mom's supporting the family.
Yeah.
You have siblings. How many siblings you got?
3 sisters.
Okay. And you're where in that rotation?
Middle
child. Okay. So then talk to me about that whole teenage, adolescent time period for you, and how that has kind of shaped you to who you are today.
Yeah, so a lot of independence. I would say a lot of independence growing up. People thought, me being the only boy in the family, that I was probably super spoiled. I was definitely spoiled with love, yes, but my pops was working from sunrise to sunset. He would come home late. Either we'd already have had dinner or been done with homework, going to sleep, whatever the case may be. And my mom was really busy with, the girls and my sisters. So I had a lot of independence. I really roamed free, from middle school through high school. And that, continues to this day, honestly.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I started, little side hustles in high school.
Okay.
I can admit it now since we're so far off, but I used to do...
The statute of limitations has run, right?
I used to make fake IDs for people in high school.
Okay.
I used to make fake
True hustler,
passes.
man. True hustler.
I used to help. I would, always come up. I remember I had one of the first laser printers that ever hit the market. And so, I would go onto the internet and search for like different college, university logos and stuff like that. And so that was my first hustle.
Okay, not to say there's right or wrong, but it was a hustle.
No. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how much of that was hey, I got to make some bank, I feel the urge to make some money for whatever reason, versus like pushing the envelope and seeing how much I can get away with. There's certain kids that are like, let me just be a misfit because I want to push my boundaries, and they don't know this, but see how much they can get away with, versus hustling because, I want to make some money. I want to get to the next thing. I want to build a bankroll to put me into the next project, to build a bigger bankroll, and so on and so forth. Like, what was that?
Yeah. So, I remember when I was a kid, and one of the first things I ever asked my mom for, that was the first time she told me, no, it's too expensive. It was a Shaquille O'Neal jersey.
Okay. Shout out to Shaq, Big Diesel. Yep.
And they had the replica ones, and then they had the authentic ones, and I wanted one of the authentic ones, and at that time it was like $120.
Talking about like 80s, right?
Yeah, to kids, 90s.
90s, okay.
To kids nowadays, it's nothing. They spend $120 in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But back then that was a lot. And so, I had to go without it. And, when I started to come of age, and like I said, my dad was always hustling and out there and doing this and that. I decided I want to pick up my own little side hustles. I would also wash cars. I would cut grass. I did all the same things kids would do. And then as I got older and a little bit more, pushing the envelope now, like you said, I just wanted extra money to be able to go out and get those things without having to ask my parents for them.
Okay.
And seeing my dad work constantly, it just kind of made sense. Why would I just be sitting around getting a free ride?
Yeah. So you bring up a very good point, subtly, which is what I'm hearing through the story is a heavy desire for self-reliance. And I shared the same thing. It's remarkable how similar our upbringings are. A lot of things I didn't know actually, but my parents' entrepreneurial print shop, out before dawn, back after dusk, youngest of 4 boys. We're raising ourselves, essentially becoming self-reliant. How critical is self-reliance in its correlation to being an entrepreneur and a successful one?
Yeah.
Sort of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's super critical. I think that, one of the problems with, not necessarily problems, but one of the obstacles or the barriers to entry into, being an entrepreneur and having your own business is the willingness to do all those things when that are not glorious.
Yes.
Everybody always sees the end result, and they say, "Wow, that person."
The glamour, the romantic version of the entrepreneur, right?
But they don't see the hard work and the dirt and the losses and the stuff. And so too often people rely on, oh, I need a team, I need somebody to handle this, or I need somebody to handle that, and people disappoint in life. Over time you will find the right people and the right team, but if you're relying on other people to do things for you early on in your career or in your entrepreneurial journey, you're most likely going to be setting yourself up for failure. So you just have to really be prepared to do everything on your own. And I've just kind of developed that type of spirit almost to the point where now I have, so many resources and so many people in my team that support what I do and that love working for the brand or the company or the business that I'm operating. And I still find myself doing things on my own a lot when I have people there to do it. Yeah. But, when you have a vision or you want something done a certain way, sometimes you just got to take matters in your own hands.
Yeah, man, you're echoing something near and dear to my heart, because I have the same problem, because you, as I've said before in my prior podcast, your vision is your own vision. It's hard to, you're trying to communicate the vision to your team, but they're adopting a vision versus originating a vision. So there's always this little extra percentage of effort or attention to detail that a team member may never get that you would have you do things on your own. And so delegation, trusting, but you stated something really, really important, which is people do disappoint, right? They disappoint through, again, lack of that adoption of the vision, or alternatively, you give them too much benefit of the doubt or give them too much credit for what you think they can do, right? So moving on from high school then, college at?
University of Texas.
Okay, let's talk about those experiences. Yeah. Anything there related to, bridging the entrepreneurship gap to where we are now?
Yeah. So I originally wasn't going to go to UT. I was going to stay at home here in Houston, U of H, with the family. And then, the summer before school started, my pops told me, you should really consider going. And that was my whole setback or holdback, was thinking my parents didn't want me to go. So when my father kind of told me he was behind the idea, I immediately packed a bag and moved to Austin.
Yeah.
Austin was a great experience. I took a lot of business courses, a lot of management and marketing courses. So, as far as from an academic perspective, I was thankful enough to, have a pretty strong background. that I would say has helped me in my entrepreneurial goals and my journey. That's not to say that it is critical or it's necessary. I know lots of people that haven't graduated high school that are extremely successful. So don't let that be a deterrent if you feel like if you don't have the resources or ability to get the higher education. You can still be extremely successful in whatever you decide to do.
Yeah. Couple points on that, man. So a couple things. Earlier you mentioned or you were generous in your compliment to me as a father. I will just say that equally so as a prodigal son supporting your family. You're very much into your family values, which I admire as it relates to your family, your father and your sisters. And so a couple points on that. First is you had the street hustle from your high school upbringing, and you're marrying that with your academic education through UT, right? So you have this, what I would say, the best combination of street smarts and book smarts. And then you have, generally speaking, people that are only book smart and people that are only street smart. Talk about your views on that dynamic. What kind of roles and the ideas behind street smart, book smart, which is better to have, and so forth.
Yeah. So I mean, I've seen in my life people that have had street smarts only, book smarts only, and book smarts and street smarts, and I've seen a wide combination of success. Right. So I've seen people that have zero street smarts, like no street cred at all, but incredibly smart, incredibly hardworking. Took a very heavy academic approach and are very successful. I've seen people that have absolutely no book smarts, but a ton of street smarts, and they've been very successful. And then I've seen guys like myself and like yourself who, have that mix of the two, and have been very successful as well. So, I think that, that's just one thing that is not really necessarily within our control, right? So whatever hand you're dealt, the good news is you can make it and you can be super successful in this world. I mean, I can guarantee you that, you've got Harvard, Yale, and MIT graduates that have become billionaires. And I can guarantee you that there are people out there that haven't graduated high school that are billionaires.
Yeah. So regardless of your circumstance,
it's about heart.
Yes.
It's about heart. If you have the heart and the drive and motivation too, so you have to be able to motivate yourself. You can't, it's good to find motivation from other places, but you have to be able to self-motivate.
Yeah.
Knowing to get up and
so you hit a good point there. There's a podcast where I distinguish between motivation and drive.
Yeah.
Motivation gets you excited temporarily. It'll get you, oh yeah, let's go hit it. But the drive is what keeps the persistence and the consistency, right? So, so on the flip side is there's very academic people who fail, who are did not perform to what you would expect, and similarly street smarts. And I think that was the missing factor, is what is inside your grit and that persistence and that the drive to overcome these challenges. The other point going back is that that I really want to hit on is how necessary is college these days, man? My boy Nate, 15, about to make that decision on school, and then obviously he's interested in sports and a collegiate pathway going that way, and also academically, I would say. But I've always maintained the position with him that, bring me a business plan with a good idea that you've vetted and done the research on, and it's not necessarily going to college is your route. Like, you could be an entrepreneur straight out of high school or in high school, create that hustle. If you vetted it out and thought it out, then
or in elementary school,
wherever it occurs at different times. But the money allocated for college could go to starting your business. And I've always told them that. Yeah. So sort of the viewpoint of, is college necessary in today's world?
Right. So, growing up in a Palestinian household, obviously academics and school are, just
You're going, no
Yeah,
choice.
yeah,
You have
yeah.
no
I mean,
choice.
it's driven into you,
Same.
and and that's the thing about obviously being first generation is that our parents know school, uh, essentials, the necessities, pray, wake up, work, school, pray, essentials. Like it's a
That's it.
very simple life, and it's good because that works as well.
Right.
I think we've overcomplicated society, and we're just stuck living in this world where now we're adapting and making it work. But yeah, I'm a strong believer in the fact that when you're young, from the age of probably 5 to 15, you will display things that you're passionate about. You will figure out, if you're given the right opportunities, things that you're good at, things that you're great at. And unfortunately, we live in a system where we just kind of push everybody towards school, high school, college, this, that. And, a lot of people miss their calling, lose their passion. And I feel like we are smart enough, intelligent enough, and capable enough at a very young age to decide whether or not we want to pursue higher education, or if we feel like we have another calling, whether that's sports, arts, entrepreneurship, business, a trade,
a lot of money in trade.
Yeah, this society would be nothing without welders, and plumbers, and mechanics, and people that went to trade school. And so, again, I'm like you. I don't feel like college is just this absolute necessity. I think that if it's something that you find yourself wanting to pursue further education, then great. Because the reality of the situation is, which we know, and it's not just this economy, but it's pretty much every economy that I've witnessed as an adult, is people come out of college and they don't end up using their degree. They find a different field that they could have started working in 5 or 6 years prior and excelled already. And yet, they went down the academic route, and more power to people who want to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like it should just, society shouldn't put that level of burden or expectation on a child to say, hey, you have to just keep going through this system of education. Now, if you want to, and if that's what your desire and your passion is, then go for it.
Yeah.
And some people can do both.
Yeah.
I mean, I did both. I was able to hustle and start businesses and go to school and work all the
Bill
same
Gates,
time.
Michael Dell, same thing.
Yeah.
So then we're at UT. What happens next?
UT was a great time. I love Austin. Austin's like a second home to me. And then I moved back to Houston, go to law school. I am, doing some things on my own business-wise, also running the family business as well. I kind of took my dad into an early retirement, I would say, and took things over from him. And that's kind of where our story
I was about to say, yes.
How we ultimately met. But yeah, I mean, I just came back from Austin and just hit the ground running, and it was just hustle, work, and family, really.
Okay. So by then, to disclose, Natter's family was heavy into the medical industry at that time. Had several businesses in medicine, home health, dialysis centers, medical supply, very successful. And in that context is how he and I met. I was just out of law school. Of course, I turned down several offers to work at prestigious law firms. Being an entrepreneur, just decided to do it on my own. Hung out the shingle, and then you caught my name through I think a group of nephrologists, kidney specialists related to your dialysis centers, and that's how we met. So then, we do that deal. At that time, I had my own office. Natter has this very elaborate office in the Galleria area of Houston, very prominent building, and he's like, "Man, come and work here."
Well, we just sold the company. So now I had this empty office, and it just made sense.
And to his credit, and this is a very critical point. I'm out of law school, starting my legal career, and I'm like, how much is the rent? And I'm thinking super high dollar, $20, $25, $30 a foot to sublet out of his office. And Natter's like, no, this office for free, bro. Right? Point being is that giving up goodwill on the front end leads to a lot of goodness,
Fortune on the back
end, right? Talk about that and how that has helped your life and as a business and personally.
Yeah. I mean, again, I always, go back to my father and my upbringing. I mean, I would see my father was the type of person who would help anybody and everybody that he could help, whether they needed the help or not. He was just always willing to help, always willing to be there. Great friend, great father. And so that rubbed off on me. And I think, anybody who knows me personally would attest to that. And so, so much so sometimes to our own fault. I mean,
yeah,
I know you're
same thing, man. Yep.
And sometimes you help the wrong people or they don't appreciate it. But nevertheless, like that should never stop you from being you.
Right.
Bad experiences or people not appreciating the kindness or the generosity shouldn't stop you from being kind and generous. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it's that building up that karma bank, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
right?
We went in. It was just me and you.
Yep.
In an office, running cases ourselves, and calling adjusters and doing things completely on our own. And then we brought in a secretary.
Yep.
And then we brought in our first employee.
Yep.
And we won't have the discussion about the first case today.
Okay. We'll pass on that one.
We'll pass that one on.
So getting into it for our audience, after several months officing together in the Galleria of Houston, we decided to start a personal injury practice together. Nader had been to law school, although he wasn't licensed at the time. I recognized the business savvy, the street savvy, the drive to be successful in this business, and literally started with just the two of us. I didn't know a lick about personal injury at all. So it was really learning as you go in real time.
Mm-hmm.
As I would say, kissed a lot of frogs along the way, celebrating, $500, $1,000 cases. And now here we are 20 years later working on $1 million cases together. So it has evolved over time, over 2 decades. I can't believe it's 2 decades, where Nader runs a lot of the business aspects of the law firm and also managing the clients and cases. And at the same time, working on legal end for me. So and that has gone well, but there's been many lessons learned. Many lessons learned.
We're gonna have to come back
on that one, but
we can really get into it.
But through the course of time, though, I think it goes back. There's so many things to unpack out of that, and it is actually a topic for another podcast. But I think the key takeaways were mainly about people.
Yeah.
How if you move into a new industry you're unfamiliar with. I think in every ecosystem of industry, there's sort of levels, right? There are levels of ecosystems that build up the industry. And not knowing those and having to learn those real time, I think people and trust in employees and contacts and in relationships, that's so critical, right?
Yeah, and I think if I were to sum it up, I think one of the things, that is trending on social media right now is this whole red flags
yes.
thing. And I think whether that's your personal life, your business life, whatever situation you want to apply it to, don't ignore red flags. And I think that's where we've kind of gotten into the most disappointments and failures is when you kind of see the red flag. You see the warning signs, but you think you can rehabilitate it. You think you can work around it. You think you can fix it. And, it just keeps showing itself to you. And before you know it, it causes a collapse somewhere in your life, in your business, in your relationship. And I mean, if there's any one simple takeaway from all those experiences with people that we've learned is that people will show you their true self fairly early on, whether they're trying to conceal it or not.
Yeah.
And believe them when they tell you.
It's no joke. That's who they are.
Yeah.
And so that is such a critical point. that I want the audience to understand is not to overlook the red flags. And I think in retrospect for us is we were so hyper focused on the goal, and we are so manifest destiny, like so self-reliant, and so like, man, we can through smarts, wits, or just sheer brute force, we're gonna achieve our goal regardless. In a way, I don't want to say stubborn because you need those qualities, but it was just sort of we can solve anything that we thought we could ignore.
Thankfully, we've been able to.
We've been able to so far. But those red flags that you were talking about sort of
could have made it easier.
Could have made it easier, or we're just driving too fast and it just blew by, and we're like, you didn't take time to slow down and recognize those things, right? So now, we'll unpack the law firm stuff some other time. But it is West Loop Law, the law office of Yon Nguyen in Houston, Texas. WestLoopLaw.com. Check us out. Info at West Loop Law. Mainly personal injury law firm. We've helped thousands of clients get millions of dollars in recovery. So just want to thank the team and the staff and Natter for help building that law firm and help growing it even more so from this point forward. Topic for a different conversation in another podcast. But what that has allowed us to do through all those scrapes and cuts and bruises and blood and sweat and tears and stress and all that, over time, we've built a team we can rely on, a team that we can trust, competent team, which now, and we're forever thankful for them for what they do now, which has allowed us to free up our time, which I think was one of the most valuable currencies is time and energy to devote to other passions, which leads us to Slapwoods. Let's talk about Slapwoods, man.
All right.
How did it start? Like, what was the brainchild of Slapwoods, and where does the name come from? For those like, okay, so I in disclosure, I don't smoke too much, but sometimes I will. But I wouldn't what you call a smoker like Snoop Dogg or that kind of thing. But so I'm not as familiar with the culture or the lifestyle as most, and I'm sure many in our audience is not either. But kind of, I don't condone it. I don't, you do you. If it works for you, fantastic. So, but to the point, what is Slapwoods? How did it start? Sort of what?
All right.
The origin story, yeah.
So Slapwoods is so it started off as the world's first and only all-natural leaf cigar cone. And so
unpack that a little bit. What is that?
So I'm going to get there.
Okay.
So, traditionally, back when we were in high school and stuff and college, everybody smoked blunts out of Swisher Sweets. That was like the cool thing to do. You
pull
buy
the paper
Swisher,
out, you roll it up.
Yeah, you cut it in half, gut it. About 7, 8 years ago, the culture shifted from Swisher Sweets to backwoods and other. So woods is like just become a name for a natural leaf.
Okay.
So you've got Fronto, Grabba, all different types of natural leaf, and so that's
natural leaf meaning to roll.
Right. So a tobacco leaf.
Okay, a tobacco leaf to roll.
An all natural tobacco.
Okay.
Leaf. Like Swisher Sweets is not all natural.
Okay.
So people move to a more natural alternative. And so the way that people would do it is they would go into the store, similarly like with Swisher Sweets, they would buy their pack of cigars, take them home, rinse them under the sink to kind of break up the glue, unravel it, dump out the inside of it, wash it again, dry it, cut it to the size or the shape that they like, then put their flour in it and roll it up. And so, me having a lot of guys in the hip hop culture, friends in the music industry and all, I saw this a lot. And I was like, let me try it. So tried it a few times and it's super difficult.
So try the entire process.
Yeah.
A to Z, buy the cigar, wash it, unravel it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super difficult. So I was like, okay, let me see if they make a cone the way that, just like what raw cones did for rolling papers.
Okay. So for our audience that isn't in lifestyle, what is a cone? Describe a cone.
So it's basically
like an ice cream cone where.
Yeah, it's basically like a pre-rolled cone made out of your paper or leaf of choice. that you just stuff
The flour.
and light. So
Okay.
you don't have to, no more rolling, basically.
Okay.
And so nobody made an all natural leaf cone. And I'm pretty good at Google research. My
okay.
legal background can find anything if it's out there.
Yeah.
Nothing, not a single cone made out of natural leaf in the world. So I set out on a journey to make one.
But that would seem like an obvious extension, right?
It would seem like an obvious extension. And in fact, the product that we dropped after the cone, which is just the wrap, and I brought some products here to show you, would seem even more obvious.
Okay. So this is one of the cones.
Right. So
okay.
You want me to go ahead and
yeah, man. Yeah, demonstrate for the audience.
So
Slapwoods. By the way, where can they find Slapwoods for the audience that's interested?
So if you go to slapwoods.com, we have a store locator on the website. You click find a store, and it will actually geofence and tell you where the nearest location to you is.
Okay, so you can buy them at convenience
stores, smoke shops, gas stations.
Okay.
Pretty much all around the country, soon to be global.
Okay,
so we got some stores in the UK, Canada. But basically, this comes in a 3-pack of cones. So you just kind of open the pack up. And on the inside, you've got a cone that is basically an extremely fresh, natural leaf. I mean, you can I give it this little crumble test. You can crumble the leaf up.
So it stays moist in the packaging.
Oh, yeah.
Is that critical?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you always want a fresh leaf. That's one of the biggest selling points of this product over the alternatives. It's incredibly fresh. But yeah, I mean, it's basically just a hollowed out natural leaf cone with a corn husk tip.
Okay.
All natural.
Is the corn husk unique, or is that?
The corn husk is fairly unique. Yeah, I mean, it's completely all natural. There's nothing else made out of natural leaf that has any kind of filter or corn husk tip. But yeah, that's the cones.
So you put the flour inside.
Yep.
Light it up.
Inside, light it up, stuff it, and that's that. And then we got the wraps here.
By the way, as you open that, what's your social media for Slapwoods?
At Slapwoods.
Okay. Instagram.
At Slapwoods.
At all of them. All the platforms. Okay.
Yeah. So this was the follow-up to the cone. We came up with the wraps, which seems like it would be even more obvious.
More obvious.
Basically, well, that's the thing, though, also, is people don't realize with natural leaf, just like steak, right? You can go to Chili's and you can get an $18, $19 filet mignon, or you can go to Steak 48 and you can get, $130.
Or Vic and Anthony's or any of the other high-end steakhouses.
Wagyu.
Please send us steak or gift cards. We'll take them.
Yeah. So there's differences, and that's the thing. It's the same with the leaf. There's differences in quality, in grades. This is the most premium grade leaf on the market. This is what, when you go to cigar lounges and you go into their humidors and you pick out an $80 cigar,
this is
what it's wrapped in. And so
premium.
It's a premium grade leaf, pre-cut, pre-washed, perfectly ready to go. All you got to do is just put your flour in it, roll it up, and you've got one of the finest cannagars. That's what this is
called.
It's called cannagars,
okay.
Cannabis cigars that you could find.
That's amazing, man. How? When did you come up with the company? Or the product? When did you invent the product?
So the product was kind of invented just before the pandemic.
Okay.
So I would say, like late 2019, early 2020.
Okay, I remember you were talking about it.
And then when the pandemic hit, we kind of were talking to the manufacturers already, and so we went into production. And by the time the economy opened back up and the market opened back up, we dropped our first product in end of February 2021 was when the first pack of Slapwoods hit the market. So
which brings to the idea, the pandemic was rough on a lot of people, very rough.
Mm-hmm.
But what I hear from your story is that you didn't let it stop you. It didn't stop us at the law firm, obviously.
No,
and it
didn't let it stop.
So you just plowed through, kept going, right?
Yeah.
How critical is that?
Super critical, because it's easy to find excuses. It's easy to
just sit on
find
your
reasons.
ass.
It's easy to find a reason not to get up and to fight and to work hard. It's real easy. Life will hand us 1,000 excuses that we can either choose to take or choose to ignore and fight through it. And so, yeah, I don't like excuses.
Yeah.
I don't like,
Not doing
giving myself a reason to give up or to quit or to not push forward. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you launched first product, Slapwoods, man. It's incredible, by the way, man.
Thank you.
Patent pending, correct?
Patent pending.
Okay.
Yeah, patent pending. We're not sure if it's patentable, but it is patent pending.
But it's patent pending. Okay.
Yeah.
And so talk about how the launch was, or sort of, did it catch fire right away? Excuse the pun.
Yeah.
Did it, or sort of what has the experience been over the last year?
Yeah.
Year and a half.
So it's been really cool. It's been a blessing. It definitely caught fire right away. The moment and again, because of the measures that I went through to ensure the quality of the leaf, the preparation of the product, the production of the product, the storage of the product, the packaging. I mean, we created a market for premium smokers that really wasn't there. For people who smoke, the price of flower used to be, $200 an ounce. Now it's $400 an ounce.
Oh, wow.
And people are still putting it in the same, 99-cent, unnatural, cheaply made processed cigar. There wasn't really a market for people who, like myself and like the people that I am around and hang out with, that are saying, hey, we're willing to pay an extra $1 or $2 or $3 for a pack of quality wraps and put this premium flower in it. Rather than these other alternatives. So, we kind of, that I gambled on that and just believed that premium smokers wanted premium options, and it worked. The market took off. And, by the time we went to our first trade show, like 4 months or 5 months into having launched the product, we went to a trade show in Las Vegas, and we were walking around. People knew us. People coming up to us, asking us about the product. So
you had your own booth, or were you just
just
walking around
the floor?
Yeah.
And distributors were just rushing us, and people had heard about it. And a lot of that also has to do with the social media and Jazz Prince, who's a partner in the company as well.
Okay.
He's super well connected in the music and entertainment business. He discovered Drake.
Yeah.
His father's Jay Prince, the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records. So we're super plugged into the music and entertainment industry. And when you take a great story, and this is a good thing for people to learn as well, marketing and branding can take you a long way. A really good quality product can take you a long way, but a combination of the two is really that perfect storm.
Yeah, I think that's so critical, man. Like the origin story, the brand, how it presents. That's one thing that gets consumers' minds engaged. But then
you've seen the whole journey.
I'm saying we're in the same office, but we're talking about it, man.
Yeah,
I remember sweating bills and sweating inventory and sweating, all these things as a startup. But then when you bring the highest premium quality product you can bring, then that really locks in your consumer base.
Yeah,
the loyalties, like, and the last podcast, for example, was about establishing value. And that when you established or you felt that there was value in a premium product for the market, then people will accept that.
Yeah.
People will be willing to pay out a little bit more for that premium value, especially when they're paying premium for their, the original.
I watched that one, by the way.
Yeah, did you? What'd you think,
value.
man?
Yeah, you're right. You can set your price, but if people aren't willing to pay it, it doesn't matter. If people are, then you're bringing value.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And I feel like that's what this company does, and that's what Slapwoods does, and that's why it's been super successful. Is because
that's fantastic. Now, sort of. So you're plugged into the music community, but sort of what has surprised you about your user base, or describe your user base, or consumer base, I should say.
Yeah. So the consumer base, it's really all across the board. I mean, we have a lot of rappers, celebrities, influencers. Under the radar, we've got a ton of professional athletes, of whose names I cannot disclose. But it's not a secret that professional athletes like to relax and smoke sometime. We got a ton of baseball, basketball, football players love our products. We've got I got people as one of our biggest fans is probably like a 75-year-old woman who loves to roll up and smoke. She's from the Bronx. She's Italian. She has a heavy accent. It's just all over
all
the
walks of
place.
life.
All walks of life.
From all around the world.
Yeah.
All around the world. And you say congratulations
We got a professional bull rider, Sam Medlock. He's a huge fan of ours.
Okay.
We might be sponsoring a bull riding competition soon.
Okay. Put the law firm in there too, man. What I'm saying?
So it's all over the place.
That's fantastic. In a year and a half, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so where's the company now? Where do you want to take it?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pride, obviously, in the Houston colors. The red, yellow,
That's
white, the Rockets, throwback Rockets.
Yeah.
So sort of, where do you want to take this?
Global. We want to be a household name. We want to continue to grow. We've got more products coming out. We've got a hemp line that we're working on. So a non-tobacco, a tobacco alternative, basically.
Okay.
And our merchandise and apparel.
Okay.
We take very seriously.
So it's not just the product; it's also the brand.
Correct. It's a lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. We do events. We do music events, concerts, small shows for independent art and upcoming artists. Just all over the place. Really, we just want to be a lifestyle brand that kind of people gravitate to, and that's able to fuse all walks of life.
Yeah.
Slapwoods can come together with all races, all ethnicities, all ages, all walks of life, and just be that kind of that lifestyle brand that people that makes people happy when they think about it. That makes people smile when they put the hoodie on, or smile when you smoke one.
I like it, man. I like it. So as a business entrepreneurial lifestyle podcast, what has been a challenge in launching, but then what has most pleasantly surprised you about the launch of Slapwoods?
Challenge wise, is you're always going to have your people who tell you that it's not a good idea.
Haters, or just
haters. I had a lot of people try to talk me out of this. A lot of people said it wasn't going to work. And then even
you're wasting your money, wasting your time,
all that. Once we got going, working with a lot of the distributors and the people who you gotta, the gatekeepers to the marketplace, right? A lot of them don't see the vision, and a lot of them tell you, "Oh, we're not gonna pick up your product; it'll never do well," and this, that, and the other. That's great. That motivates me, honestly. And I always tell them, "I'll see you again in 3 months, and the price is gonna be different," and it always is. And it always is. So.
It happens a lot in all the businesses we work together on.
Yeah, price is going up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always going to be a challenge. Is whether people genuinely, and that's the thing, is that I don't understand whether people genuinely believe that, or if they're just angry because they don't have anything going on and they're trying to rain on your parade.
I think it's a combination, man. I think a lot of it is always what I have found personally is that people that hate a lot. Is a projection or a manifestation of their own insecurity or their own lack. Whatever they're lacking in their own life, they have to project it in a way to get it out of their system, so to speak, by hating on somebody else, trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my personal experience. And so a lot of the times I discount haters. Almost every time I discount haters a whole lot. That being said, I do listen in case there is a hint of validity in what is being said. So it causes more self-reflection than a reaction for me. So that's the vibe I get.
I would agree with that. I definitely do listen, because even though you want to just write it off as hate, sometimes you do learn things from people's criticism and negativity, and there's always a lesson to be learned in any situation.
Yeah.
So that is also very valuable, is to not just shut down and just shut it all out as hate, to actually listen to hear what people have to say and let it do one or two things, either alter the course that you're taking because you agree with them, or just fuel you further to motivate you and drive you.
That's what it is, man.
And that's what
in
it
either
comes
way,
down
you're
to.
turning negative into a positive
Yep.
force anyways.
Yep.
And so out of all of this experience, then what has pleasantly surprised you? Sort of weren't expecting it, but damn, this is pretty cool. You know what I'm saying?
Just some of the people that have co-signed Slapwoods so early. I mean, we got a Snoop Dogg co-sign fairly early. I mean, I would say we're, a year or less into the business. Snoop Dogg, who is the holy grail when it comes
well, when
to...
you think of smoke, you think,
yeah. It's the holy grail of
yeah.
smoking culture.
Yeah.
It's Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg blessed us fairly early on. We've had a huge LA, Houston, Miami, New York. Just what's pleasantly surprised me is that, obviously when you go out and you set out to do something, you say, I'm going to be successful and this is going to do great and this is going to do, really well. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily hit the mark that you thought. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it exceeds the mark.
Yeah.
But I would also be lying if I didn't say that I believed it was going to do this. I just didn't know it would do it this fast.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So then, like I said, where's it going? Where are you taking it? Global brand, global everything.
Global brand, expanding into other fields and products.
Okay.
Concerts, music festivals.
Yeah.
Merchandise, apparel, all that.
Okay. So now we're looking at, this is kind of an important question, man, because we have a law firm that we're growing in scaling up in a grand way. We have Slapwoods growing and scaling up. We got a couple other things in the background too. How do you manage it all? How's there's only 24 hours of natter to go around,
correct,
right? So,
correct. So this is very important, and this is something that I think about all the time and I reflect upon all the time. And if I'm going to be honest with myself, for a very long time in my life, I would say I was probably operating at about 20-25% capacity. Whether it was, taking too many days off, sleeping in, just deciding to go take off and get out of town and go do something for fun or whatever. Or being present, but not being present.
Yeah.
Because I was just, not focused. I was probably operating at about 20% capacity. And so what I learned is that we are really super beings as humans. We all are. There's greatness inside of all of us. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's true. And so, to answer your question is I don't feel like I would have to fall off in any one aspect of my life, and not just business-wise, but also personally as a brother, as a son, as hopefully soon to be a father and husband. I feel like get up earlier, work harder, work smarter, and you will find the time. You will find the means. Work on focusing, work on meditation, things to clear your mind so that you become more efficient with your thoughts, with your time, with your effort, with your energy. It's possible. I mean, there are people out there doing more. And so.
Yeah, that's a huge, huge point, because I agree with you. There's greatness in all of us. And essentially we are energy beings, right? And so how, when, and where we focus our energy dictates what we can accomplish and achieve in this life. And so, and I will admit to you the same, man. There's a period where, and I think part of it is because we started so early, right? We're grinding so early, and
there's a burnout.
There's a burnout phase because we didn't have mentors or anybody to explain to us we're learning on the fly. So there's a burnout phase where we're just like, damn, man, I've been in this grind so long, 20 plus years, it's time to find some me time, or for whatever subconsciously we're saying, I don't want to push that hard anymore, until all of a sudden we reach the point where it's like, dude, I can do so much more.
Yeah.
I think everybody experiences that. And, some people would call it a midlife crisis or what have you. I mean, we're at that age, but I don't think it's that. I think just it's a level of, or a stage of enlightenment or awareness of how much potential we actually have
Yeah.
as to be great within all of us, within everybody listening to this podcast, your consumers, everybody that we associate with, that we can be so great. It's like within, right? So that's crazy, man. I think it's a very, very critical point. Last words, man. It's been a really good podcast. Obviously, love you like a brother.
Yeah.
You are my brother, but sort of last words for the audience, takeaways.
Last words. I mean, honestly, I think it's real important that people kind of focus on self-improvement every single day, because that is the ultimate foundation of how you reach all your goals, you reach your success. I feel like our mental health is too often ignored, and I feel like the link between physical health and mental health is too often ignored. So if I'm in a bad mood, I go to the gym, I start feeling better. I eat cleaner that day. I feel like we're living in a world where the foods we eat, the things we consume, and by consumption, it's not just food, it's also social media and what we consume. And sometimes you just got to go off grid.
Yeah.
Eat super clean and work out and get healthy first. And then you'll feel that mental and emotional clarity start to come. And then you'll really be able to, move forward with a passion and a drive to be successful. And self-improvement is never done. I mean, until the last day and until our last breath, I'm going to be trying to self-improve. And just feeling inclusive. I feel like too often people get on the internet and social media and they feel like they haven't accomplished enough because they don't have the cars or the women or the stuff that everybody else has. Yeah. It's like, look, we all have our seasons. Everybody has their time. It doesn't matter what we did 10 years ago.
Not at all.
It doesn't even matter what we did 10 minutes ago.
No,
honestly.
not at all.
Like your future and every day that you have to live moving forward, may God grant us a long and healthy life. That's what you're working for, and that's all that matters, because ultimately everything in this life is temporary.
Yeah. Everything
in this life is temporary.
Yeah. And the only moment you can actually control is the one right now, this present moment. Man, words of maturity, enlightenment, of wisdom, man. Yeah. I'm glad I'm rubbing off a little bit. No. But the thing is, you bring up a good point, though, man. Self-improvement is just not taught either, and right? It's the Pythagorean theorem. It's all that in school, but it's never an instructional guide for self-improvement. But it's something that has to happen every single day. That clarity of vision, what you talked about.
Subscribe to the N2N Podcast.
N2N Podcast. And that's part of it, man, what we're trying to bring. But, like, it's... slowing down is where you find your true self.
Yeah.
Slowing down. And when you find your true self, you're more fulfilled in this lifetime, I think. But at the same time, that slowing down and finding yourself causes you to pick up your pace and hustle and be productive and contribute to the society. Man, Slapwoods, ladies and gentlemen, www.slapwoods.com. Follow them on all social platforms. At Slapwoods, where can they find events that Slapwoods is promoting?
At Slapwoods on Instagram.
Okay.
We constantly update the Instagram every day. We've got at least 1 or 2 events a week. So a lot of them are here local in Houston. So most of our events, us being based out of Houston, are in Houston. But but
it's going to be branching out.
We do have events all over the country. Tune in.
And the last thing I'll say is, I could appreciate your passion into Slapwoods when you mentioned, we can't mention names, but high-profile people signing multi-million-dollar contracts, and they're wearing Slapwoods gear, or there's a box of Slapwoods on the table, not paid for, not sponsored, but, high-profile people. They're signing day, their big day, and Slapwoods just happens to be there on the post, man. So congratulations to you on Slapwoods and all the success. Many blessings for future success. Congratulations to us on Slapwoods and our success with the law firm and all the other things that we're working on. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this post, if you really appreciate what Slapwoods is about and Natter's story, which is an amazing story, runs very parallel to mine. I guess that's why we're brothers, bro. Please do like, comment, follow us on all social media platforms, YouTube, at N2N Podcast, at N2N Podcast. If you have any questions or want any topics discussed on the show, please do email us at ask@the N2N Podcast.com, ask@the N2N Podcast.com. Thank you so much, brother. And you gotta come back. Keep us posted on the Slapwoods, and then we'll unwrap the law firm story.
Yeah,
at some point in time,
and we'll roll one up.
We're gonna smoke on that one. Thank you for listening and watching. We'll catch you next time.